Trust. We hope all of you will have an awesome learning experience. I request everyone to kindly mute their microphones when the speaker speaks. Also, you can mention your questions in the comment box. Now, I request Mr. Gauri Shankar, Alumni President, SOM NITW, to kindly share a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Uh, I would like to welcome today's guest speaker, Mr. Anand Kadali, the founder and secretary of Sri Annapurna Satyasai Annapurna Trust. It's a famous breakfast program chain across India and in some parts of the world. Before we start, I would like to convey my thanks to our NIT Warangal director, Dr. Ramana, and our head of the department, Dr. Rama Devi, Dr. Francis, the alumni cell relationship of faculty, Dr. Ravinder Reddy, Dr. Tulsi, Dr. Gokul, Dr. Rahul, and all the staff members and our alumni relationship team for their strong support and effort to launch this leadership webinar series. During a crisis moment like this, it's a great opportunity for us to get an outlook on how the great leaders think and handle the adverse situations like this. This leadership series will help School of Management to learn from the leaders about the ground reality of the world. I'm delighted that our alumni cell is helping to connect global leaders and seek their inputs to our students and alumni so as to enrich our knowledge. I request all the students and the alumni to participate and benefit from this initiative. Today's speaker, I would like to thank Anand for immediately accepting our invitation and coming forward to help our students by sharing your knowledge and your experience. I'm proud to share that Mr. Anand was a great friend of mine, and he's an inspiring leader, not only in India and also across the globe. Like every one of us, he also had a choice of to choose between the professional work and a noble world. And he took the tough but the self-rewarding decision to walk in the noble path and to lead and try his best to resolve and prevailing social challenges and inspire millions of people across the globe. In 2012, I remember Mr. Anand went to meet a block officer and he presented about the Annapurna breakfast program. They indeed rejected his proposal, but Anand and his team did not give up and went ahead and started the Annapurna breakfast program in 2012 starting with 30 children. Today, Annapurna breakfast program alone serve more than 450,000 children across every day across India. Many state governments, chief minister's office, chief secretaries, today everybody has joined hands with Annapurna breakfast program. Kudos to the entire team. They work day and night, even in the COVID situation also, to help the immigrant workers. Most of us look upon to real heroes as our role models, but there are so many unsung heroes inspiring and transforming the world silently. To me, they are the real heroes, and we are fortunate to have today Mr. Anand one among us to address and share his experience to all of us. Thank you for all joining. Like you, I am also excited to hear from Anand. Keep inspiring us, Anand.
Now I request Victor Paul to introduce our speaker.
Good evening all. On behalf of School of Management, NIT Warangal, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker, Mr. Anand Kadali, who is going to talk to us about the topic rural development and transformation. He has expertise in business development and sales in diversified industries. He is certified corporate director and spent over 15 years in the field of computer networking and security. So I welcome you, sir, on behalf of all here, and it's a great opportunity to have a knowledge sharing session from you. Now you can present the session, sir.
Firstly, thank you very much. Am I audible to everyone? I hope there is no disturbance from my end. So thank you very much, Gauri, for giving an opportunity to address a large gathering of this sort. We also have, with your permission, some of our volunteers who have been a part of the program, and they also love being a part of these sessions. And so I request people who are on the call, especially the volunteers, just to avoid distraction, to kindly disable your video, just to ensure that there are no video distractions coming in. So kindly disable the video and you can just listen to the audio, so that we respect the people who are also there on the calls. So that's my sincere suggestion to people who have joined from our side. You can disable the video and you can listen to the audio part. So from my end, what I will do is I will just show a presentation about what was tailor-made for the team over here. And I request all of you to kindly let me know if you're able to see my screen. Is the screen, can you see my screen? I
Yes,
hope
sir.
if somebody can,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Yes,
perfect,
sir.
thanks.
We can see, sir.
Yeah. So once again, request all the volunteers to, you can disable the video and ensure that others are also disabled, just to avoid any inconvenience. So let me just give you a small brief about myself. I know that Gauri has given a small introduction to me, but I feel it's very important for me to tell something from my heart. See, this Annapurna Breakfast Program was a dream come true for just not me. There are many people who are behind the scenes working, and never in our life we have expected that somewhere down the line we will have such a wonderful project to work. All of us have aspirations in our lives. We would like to become an ex-person. We would like to become a top head for an organization. So I'm no different from that. I finished off my engineering, and after that, I kind of got into a corporate job. I was working for one of the leading IT infrastructure companies, and later on from there, with all the God's grace, I climbed the steps, and at some point of time, we were actually able to drive the business for one of the leading startup companies in India. Just to tell you that when we are in this corporate world, the kind of tensions we go through, the kind of strategies, the build up, the business workout, everything comes into place. And sometimes, to be very honest, sometimes we feel, what is the purpose to our life? Is it just to kind of look at for ourselves and just think about ourselves? So we definitely would love working for corporate organizations, nothing wrong in that. But I would suggest and I would think, are we actually giving time to ourselves? Sometimes we feel that, our childhood is far better than now. Why do we think like that? Why do we say that the childhood is far better? That's because our minds are not polluted. Our minds were not that clear. During your childhood days, we were all honest. We were very truthful to ourselves. But with the kind of organizational things which we go through, eventually we have to pass through these situations as well. And that finally leads to, what is the purpose of all this, whatever we do? I mean, I can give you a simple example. I don't need to go philosophically. If I have to share a plate of meal to a neighbor who's home, or if there is a very poor person right near to my place, if I am not able to give a plate of meal to that person, then I think we are doing something wrong to ourselves. A very simple thing like carrying a biscuit packet in your car when you go all the way to your office, and then you find some needy people over there. If you just have that compassion to give a thing of, whatever you feel like, you can simply give a biscuit packet to the and people like for their self-satisfaction. But these are only one time, or as and when the situation comes. But here is a story where, when we were in our prime, we were able to make sales numbers. I come from the sales background, and we were in our prime. And then, incidentally, what happened as what Gauri Shankar was telling, in fact, he is the first witness to that. So in one of the cases, we just went to a village, and we just gave biscuit packets to the school children over there. And when we were just coming out from that place, one of the child comes back and tells a very emotional sentence. She asks me, when will you come again? So it was like a, complete changeover. I thought I'll just go do this and come back home. And here is a girl who says, when will you come again? Imagine if it was your own daughter or if it was your own son, and what will you do? So you immediately promptly work on, preparing something for them the next day and, give them as well. That's what we do every day. And that's how it all started. It started with a small beginning, when this child comes and tells me, can you help us provide some morning nutrition? And that's how the concept started. And we have not gone through challenges, but let me tell you two of the very interesting quotes, which I feel always it's important. There is enough on this planet for everyone's needs, but not for everyone's greed. This is what Mahatma Gandhi ji has told. I mean, what does it mean? It's definitely there for everyone in this planet. But how many migrants have gone back to their villages? And definitely they are getting their needs fulfilled. You can go back and see their villages. I'm sure somewhere somebody is definitely helping them. It's just that the greed which is making us focus on industrialization, getting into more and more acquisitions, and trying to make more and more money, etc., especially the large corporates. And as what Gauri Shankar was telling about in 2012, when I went and met one of the block education officer, and I asked, see, we would like to do something for the children. Naturally, the answer which I got from this is, this cannot happen. You can't give any morning breakfast for school children, and this is not possible. And he discouraged us. And so that's why the second sentence is, in a gentle way, you can shake the world. What does it mean? You don't need to go and fight against them. Why are you not giving a chance? You just leave it as is. Things are not in place. You just need to be at that state and continue doing in a slow and a gentle manner. And I don't need to tell, definitely people around the world now know about Sri Satya Sai Annapurna Trust. And it has definitely shaken the world. And I'm sure it will shake the world much more. There is a simple quotation which says on the right side, if the village perishes, India will also perish too. If the villages are not there, India will not be there. So what is happening is, in our villages, we have our ancient culture very much there. But because of this globalization, we created cities which are completely foreign dominated. I can give a simple example. If I go to a mall within Bangalore or Chennai, you can look at the way our own, many of the young youth and all, what kind of decorum they have, what kind of dressing sense they have, what is their behavior. You can see the kind of culture which is changing. So we are not demeaning anybody over here, but what I'm saying is, there is definitely a change required. And today, at this point of time, if you're talking about rural development across various villages, foremost thing is, first of all, we need to know our own stats. Where do we lie? What is the current status? So today, at this point of time, if you see, there are close to 650,000 villages in India. And I'll only focus on one point over here. I'll not go into depth of it. The focus here is on nutrition. If you look at the nutrition part, this is the current state of affairs. If you look at it, there are about close to 31% of the children who are underweight, which means out of 100 people, there are close to 30 children who are underweight. And similarly, 25 girls who are underweight out of 100. And in all the nutrition concept which we talk about, Asia is the largest one to have the highest nutrition, more than 50%. And if you look at in India itself, people talk about nutrition, etc. 1 in 3 children are stunted. Stunted means they don't have proper growth, proper weight, proper height. So if I have to see all these things, what exactly comes to my mind? It only says I need to have my gratitude to my parents. And this I'm telling especially to all the student community who is listening to this conversation. You should have gratitude to your parents. Because of your parents' hard-earned money, because of your parents' efforts, you were able to get into one of the prestigious institutions here in NIT Warangal. So go back, think. You have to go and pray to your mother and father and thank them. And you should always have the gratitude to them. Because If you look at the stats, you will be scared. And I'm just showing only the tip of the iceberg. I'm not even going into the depth of it. And right now, if you see, India is standing at 103 out of 119 countries on the global hunger index. So if you're eating your food, which is there available as a dinner, or your whatever food you're having, I mean, we should be very grateful. I mean, sometimes we take it for granted food is available. That same food is not available for a person who's right next to your door. He may not be explaining it to you, but definitely is the case. And this is just not in cities, it's in the villages also. So the core focus, what has happened is, Annapurna Trust, when we formed, we thought our focus should be predominantly on nutrition, because what happens by doing nutrition is, it will give you a pathway for other 5 things or other 4 things. Imagine, if I come to your home, and if I go to any of the houses, naturally, as a tradition, we go with some sweets or some fruits, right? That's how we respect them, right? We respect and we give them. The same is the case over here. You go to a village, you don't go empty-handed. You just go with some chocolates or some biscuits or something like that, and you just see. You don't need to do anything. Children will automatically come to you. You have no need to do any canvassing, any microphone kind of speaker setup and all. Automatically, children will come to you. So which means, to attract the children, you need to do something which is more innovative. And so what is that innovation? Food is the innovation. In that also, what kind of food can we provide? See, we did a learning, and we know government has midday meals concept available, and children come there, and most of us know children actually come to government schools for the midday meals predominantly, because they get their the afternoon nutrition. But there is still this attention span which is less. There are children who are not punctual on time. There are children who are not focused. There are stunted children. And if you go and see the research, if a child had a dinner at about 8 o'clock in the night, the next meal which he was having is at about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the afternoon next day, which is a clear gap of 16 hours. You see, imagine if you and me don't have something after dinner till next day afternoon lunch, what would have happened to us? We become so irritated, we don't have that peace of mind. Imagine if we are all adults in the age of 20 to 30. What about children who are 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, 14 years? And we also need to understand, children are very much shy. If you go and ask them, did you have breakfast? Nobody wants to tell the level of poverty. Yes, sir, we had it. Put a biscuit packet over there, they are the first ones to grab it. So practically, you have to see the experience says that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And many of the children don't have this breakfast. But our intention was not to start with breakfast and then stop it over there. No, that leads us to healthcare. Identify children who are not having proper health. That leads us to providing scholarships. That leads us to helping them study well. And just not that, the kind of water they drink in the villages, whichever communities. What can we do when there is such sort of a situation? Sanitation. If toilets are not even there. Many of the schools, children, especially girl children, don't come to school. I mean, I don't need to tell the answers for that. You just Google and see why children don't come to school. The first answer is sanitation. Toilets are not there. Especially girl children will not even come to schools. So when these are the problems available, definitely we can do something over there. Now, we should know that it's an organization activity and this can store an NGO. I'm asking you, even if the people who are there in this call, just think about a very nearby school in your vicinity in NIT Warangal. Just think about a nearby school which is near to your home. Just look at, just not the school, or look at somebody like your maid's son. Ask them, did you have breakfast? What did you eat? Give them some fruits. Make them aware that we also care for you. It all starts with that simple gesture. Now, that is fine. We can do something of that sort, try to do. So something like water. Many of us know water is definitely a cause for many of the diseases. When we have a domestic water purifier at home, which would cost probably 10,000 or 15,000 or 20,000. Many of you student communities can actually come forward. You can collect some funds, identify 2 or 3 schools, and put a simple water purifier. You don't need to do something large and gigantic. Put a water purifier, ensure that the children who are coming to the school get a proper water. And for this, we don't need to look at, complain, governments are not doing well. Government expects us also to do something for them. Now, bathrooms is not a rocket science. Just to create a bathroom, what are the basic things required? All of you are engineers, some of you are MBA grads also. What are the basic things required for bathroom construction? What will be the bill of material? What is the cost? Who can be employed for that? This is a wonderful learning. What you learn at college or whichever sessions is a theoretical learning. Practical learning will help you learn much more. So why I'm saying this is, before I could join this Annapurna activity in 2012, I never knew how to set up a water purifier unless whatever AquaGuard comes and sets it up. I never knew how a toilet needs to be constructed. I never knew how a breakfast program needs to be managed. We can go to our villages and make them screen the children. I never knew, how we can actually make children get into proper schooling. And to the worst of these things, I never knew what kind of plants will give what kind of fruits also. Just by looking at the tree, we don't even know what is a tree also. Is it a banyan tree, people tree, onion, whatever, the basic things, we don't even know. Here we are being completely focused on our own subjects, academic subjects. But if you go to a farmland, we don't even know which plant is that. So these are the things which help me get into as we started progressing in our day-to-day activities on Annapurna. If you see the slide is specifically talking about how we started and then where we stand. But before I continue, I hope people are able to hear me, right? So because I just want to ensure that we are in sync. Can somebody say yes or no so that we are clear?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks. So this is the stats. Again, we don't want to drill upon it. Till 2015, we were slowly slow growing organization, and 2015 we started the trust formation. And then by that time we had about 100 volunteers with us. Volunteers, who are like me, who actually work for a corporate organization. But what we did is we packed breakfast into our vehicles and we went to the village. We served the children in the morning between 8 to 9. And then from there, we went to our offices. We had our own breakfast also there. So what happened is the time which we generally use for watching television in the morning or reading newspaper or doing something else was very aptly used to going to a village or a nearby school to your house, serve the breakfast. From there, you go to your offices. So when we started in 2015, a formal trust was formed under the guidelines of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, who has been our inspiration. We formed Sri Satya Sai Annapurna Trust. And as Mahatma Gandhi, you just need to have a small gentle shake, and that's enough. Wonders will happen. And today, at this point of time, we are serving this morning nutrition for close to 450,000 children. And the effort over here is definitely with the 500 volunteers who have been completely supporting us at 17 states and 3 union territories. So here, the idea is I'm not trying to tell you, this particular slide should tell you how one single individual, I'm not talking about myself, okay? You can say how 3 or 4 individuals, when they started with the motive of doing something for the world, did not stop, did not get into any kind of altercations, did not have any crosstalk, but they had only one mantra: less talk, more work. All we did is just we kept silent. You only need to be silent. People come and demotivate you. It's not possible. How can you say you can do this much for this many children? Not possible. So this is what actually happens to many of the youth. Any unique idea which you have, the problem is the idea is automatically then and there destroyed, not by you, by the people who are around you. They will not motivate you. First of all, they will not do it. and they don't make you do it. So this, you can take it as a case study. I'm confidently saying, if within about 5 years, if you're able to make an impact for 450,000 children, just imagine what will happen after 5 years. And I'm very confident this 450,000 will become 45 lakh. I don't have that conviction. We have. We know what we are doing, and definitely we will do it for sure. So it all depends upon how you think about, how do you perceive yourself for a challenge which is given at your front. Let me just also share some points. This is a slide deck about the various regions where we are spread across. We are strongly spread in Karnataka. Then NIT Warangal. Warangal is in Telangana, very much there in Telangana as well. We got support from the government of Telangana. Mr. Harish Rao is the one who has been really spearheading the breakfast program. So we don't have any support. We don't have any support issues with the government. Then we have Andhra Pradesh, Puducherry, Tamil Nadu. Slowly we are growing. You can see over here, we have just made those baby steps with our volunteers who are there, who are supporting this program. Now, people might question us, how do you do your breakfast program and all? It's a very simple thing. People think, if I have to serve about, let's say in your case only, imagine if you have to serve 100 children a simple dinner at your home. You got to think too many. You will probably think at getting it outsourced, getting one person who can cook it for you and then prepare it for you and bring it on time, and you need to pay it to him whatever he is prepared for. You have to set up a shamiana, etc. Now that is one way. Just imagine the other way. If you have to prepare for 100 people, and then among your own teams, 3 or 4 people do a potluck strategy. What is potluck strategy? Okay, I'll get rice. You get sambar. You get rasam. You get this curry. You get that curry. That's it. You have 5 to 6 people preparing this, and that's it. You don't need to even hire an outsider. This is exactly the strategy which we have used. Decentralized model means you don't need to invest on CapEx. CapEx means coming out with large infrastructure of kitchens, not required. I mean, if you have to put a kitchen, you need to first of all buy a land, and after that you need to get the registrations done. Then you need to purchase the equipments for setting up the kitchen. Then you need to go through the entire system of how the food is prepared, what kind of security, what kind of vegetables are coming in. Imagine if you tell, okay, this I will get it done in the village itself. All I will do is I will give the 1 month ration which is required for preparing the breakfast. It could be upma, it could be idli, it could be dosa, whatever is required for 1 month, I will do 1 month ration to the village community. Now, village definitely has a school. The school also has a kitchen. Kitchen also has a cook. All you need to do is pay the cook a portion of some salary, which will also encourage her to prepare. Then your item is completely prepared. So imagine if I have to start breakfast program tomorrow, I can easily start it. I don't need to look at any other things, norms, conditions, etc. All I need is 3 people. One is somebody like us, the Annapurna Trust, which can support as a platform, provide the necessary permissions. Second is the government, which also needs to encourage the work. And third, and very important, out of this is the village community. If the village community panchayat head says, yes, sir, it's a wonderful activity, we also would love to join, and they come forward, that's it. So you have all the 3 communities coming forward and taking up this, which is why we don't have any large capexes. Somebody questions me and asks me, okay, show me your kitchens. I say, I have close to 5,000 kitchens. Now, where are those 5,000 kitchens? We are operating in 5,000. All I'm trying to do is use those kitchens. Where we are. Again, I go back when we started and where we stand now. Governments are now signing up with our Annapurna Trust. We are signed up with government of Puducherry, government of Telangana, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka. Now I'll go a bit about this later. And these are other various states where we are slowly getting ourselves introduced with the breakfast. But what is important to tell you is, now somebody might be asking a question, what kind of breakfast are you providing? This is the stack which says simple local palate breakfast like a poha, upma, rice pulao, vegetable upma, rice pongal, Very simple 30-minute preparation standards is what we try to see for, and the breakfast is prepared. Now, the same thing is happening in government of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. What is happening is the government is providing rice and oil to the schools, and we provide the various other items required, and the local communities prepare the breakfast. But again, this is the model which I always suggest to all the students who are listening to this conversation. Again, as I say, it need not be a breakfast which is like giving upma or something like dosa or a puri. A simple milk can also make a difference for a child. A simple banana can also make a difference for a child. A simple biscuit also makes a difference for a child. You don't know, but if you go and give it to the children, you can definitely see they do not have access to that kind of food items also. So I am suggesting anybody in this group want to do something for your own villages, for your own communities, for your own people who are coming to your home as mates. Do a simple thing like this: biscuits, banana, milk, and then you start with that, and slowly you can actually increase it to the various other models which are available. Now, this is my favorite, and I thought I should probably tell this to all of you, that most of you, don't drink plain milk. I'm sure, because somewhere we don't like the taste of plain milk, and we have something like Horlicks, Boost, Bonvita. We mix it and then we prepare it, and it's a quick booster for all of us. It energizes something within our body, and we are able to keep ourselves active. Now, look at the scenario over here. Now you're able to get a Boost or a Bonvita or a Horlicks. Horlicks doesn't cost, definitely the cost of Horlicks about 200 grams is not less than 100 rupees. Definitely it's more than 100 rupees. So you are able to afford getting it. What about the children who are in the rural villages? They may not have even seen this kind of packets available. And there are certain governments who are giving milk. So all you have to do is to augment the milk which is provided by the government with something which you can also create on your own. That led to the introduction of something called as SciSure. SciSure is something like Pediasure, which all of you know it. Pediasure is given for the children, growing children. All we have done is we have formulated the SciSure, completely certified with approvals from government, and we provide the SciSure to the schools. And the school is getting the milk from the government. So all we are doing is add to that milk the SciSure, and now children are relishing it. Chocolate flavor, almond flavor. It's helping them to actually drink that complete milk. So this is something which is helping us to address the malnutrition big time present in the children, because the SciSure which we are giving is high on micronutrients. And this is where it is a strategy which we have. The government gives the milk powder, like the Kshirabhagya milk powder scheme in Karnataka, and we provide the SciSure. Now, one last slide about this. Basically, people ask, okay, you're doing it. What is the impact? Naturally, what has been the impact if you're giving a powder? Has it been showing any results? Yes, of course. Somebody who's having a 11.6 as the hemoglobin count, within 3 months, it is 12.3. If there is and this is only a average. There are certain cases where the child was 9 or 10 and it has gone up to 13 or 14. So I am saying if we are able to make an impact within 3 months, and again, we are not charging anything over here. Everything is provided completely free of cost. Our only interest is to see how every other organization can come and join us and become a platform to make it happen in much larger needy areas. Now, this is something which was formulated. One is for toddlers between 2 years to 6 years. Next is your children, SciSure for children. And then the most important part, which I am right now going to talk about, is a pregnant woman. See, India talks about malnutrition. People talk about malnutrition. Children are very weak, etc. If you see, the malnutrition as a concept starts from a pregnant woman. Malnutrition as a concept starts from a child, a girl child, who is 16 years and who gets married very early, and her age itself is not more than 40 kgs. And in a year's time, if her age is not more than 40 kgs and she becomes pregnant, you can tell what kind of baby comes out of it. If she herself is not nourished, naturally the product which comes out of it is also not nourished. So the core basic fundamental thing which we're missing is to provide those nutrition things required for a pregnant woman. If she's been taken care with all the right aspects of iron, folic acid, etc., then you definitely will see a change. So we are trying to focus on providing this pregnant women SciSure so that they get the right nutrients. I mean, this is one picture, these are pictures. We have so many pictures with government alliances. This is one of those launches which we did for government of Karnataka. We have it with similarly for other states also, and now other countries are also joining. So this is one of those important focuses right now we have. As I told you, when we are 4,50,000, and in the next 5 years, I will not be surprised if we are 45 lakh children. And if somebody says, what is your conviction? This is the picture. This picture tells the kind of malnutrition which is prevailing in the Karnataka state. I mean, to start with, we have also other states to add. And we are trying to see within this year how we can add another 5 lakh children, how we can address SAM and MAM children, how are we addressing severely acute and moderately acute malnourished children, and expand to various other states. Similarly, even the pregnant woman also, how we can actually provide the SciSure package to the children who really need it. I mean, I'm actually not trying to make a point that, this is the target is very high. Actually speaking, I'm just going to show you one WhatsApp message. See, as we speak, I'm not even, if you look at this WhatsApp message, I've not even opened it. As we speak, I am getting pictures from government of Karnataka, and look at this. This is the status of SciSure being provided to pregnant women and also to the children over there. And if you see over here, this is the government volunteer. A government organization has represented somebody who can go and distribute SciSure to the villages. Look at it. Look at the way they are providing SciSure to each and every corner. This is called as last mile. And look at this picture. I feel so excited looking at it. The child's weight they're taking, and then they're noting what kind of child he or she is, and then they're giving SciSure. So I am just showing you live pictures. This is not something which is saved. You can see it on my WhatsApp. These pictures coming to me every day encourages us. Yes, this is definitely making an impact. So this is just to tell you that we are making strides towards much of these activities, and things are going very well. And these are pictures of how we are giving it for pregnant women, what kind of guidance we are providing to them. And to add this, providing the right screening for children. Many of the children do not have proper access because their bones become weak. When the children's teeth become yellow, and we go and set up drinking water purifiers over there. And then, our doctors come and screen them. And everything is provided completely free. We don't charge a single rupee for it. All we ask is how everybody else can join over here and make it to be a part of it. We also have a concept called as each one educate one. Once we identify a child who's really, really in a need, we provide the complete sponsorship for the child's education. We have our own educational institutions. We have about 23 campuses in Karnataka, and we identify children and we put them into our campuses from 6th standard onwards. But if you see on the right side, this is more interesting, and it is resonating with the current NIT Warangal team also. We have a course called Integrated Rural Development Program with a 1-year certificate, which we provide for all the, you could say graduates, or you can even say graduates. We encourage them to become interns. You become an intern and you understand our large-scale projects. You become a part of it by executing it, or you can also create documentaries. You can subject experts. You can also go and talk about it to various other places. Even breakfast program of a similar nature at the place wherever you are, and we take it as a program which is being conducted by us. And today we have close to 600 students enrolled, and this is a part of their 3rd year and 4th year semester. If you go back and see, this is now becoming a key aspect for all universities, that they have to have a curriculum for even introducing rural development as a part of a subject in their classes. And this is for an engineering college. If you go over here, Nagarjuna College of Engineering. So we have another 3 colleges who have joined later, and we provide these courses for them. I mean, the idea is not to kind of get a certificate. Please understand, this is not a certificate business over here. so you get a certificate by being a part of this program. You're completely mistaken. By doing this program, what you will be getting an opportunity is, just by enrolling over here, the first thing you will do is you have to go and visit a village. You have to go and visit a village and talk to the villagers over there. You go and inside their hut, wherever they stay, and look at the situation over there. And the first thing which has to reel in your mind is how grateful I should be to my parents, how grateful I should be to my teachers, how grateful I should be to my institute, that they have taken care of me so well. Whereas if you look at it, 1 in 3 children are stunted, and here is a place where I'm going to a family and I go into the village and I see this is the kind of poverty. I don't know how many of you have seen some of the very inspiring movies. You should see a movie on Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, to resonate to your kind of thinking, you can look at a movie like Swadesh. What happens in the village communities? I mean, it is actually the facts. People don't have water. What can I do for that kind of village? So this integrated rural development program is actually a concept of making the students to go a village. That is the first instant. Go and talk to them, make a research, understand what kind of problems they are doing. And if you can find a solution for it, Annapurna Trust is available. You can come up and say, sir, there is definitely a need over here. Can we set up a drinking water plant? Why not? We are here to support you financially. Financially, we are here to support. All you need to do is you become our focal point to make this happen. Now, you tell me if there are organizations coming forward and saying, hey, come and just join us. You tell us where are the problems. We will do the funding. You do and execute it. We are not even asking you to raise your funds. You find a problem for us and we will do it together. So this is the problem many of the people have. They think that I also need to identify the problem. I also need to fund the problem. No, you identify the problem and give it to us. We'll try to find a solution for it. And eventually you will also become a star. You will also be a part of an enterprise. So out of it, and that will help you for your career also. These are some pictures about drinking water purifiers, which have set up large drinking water purifiers, which are required for the village itself, small water purifiers for a school. I mean, we can deep dive, we can get into the details of it, but not at this point of time. I'm only here to just tell you one thing, if I was able to, along with my team of people, understand all these things in the last 4 to 5 years, and we are able to make it happen. And with only those 4 to 5 people, and then now we are having 500 people. Imagine if you just join us into this mission, how much more we can do. So that's the only message I'm trying to convey over here. And this is my last slide, again, going back to the basics. As I told you, if I have to start with something like breakfast program, what will be the way from where to where I can reach? Yes, breakfast program is an excuse. It just makes us go into the school, then we do the health screening, then we can also identify children for proper education. And children who are not good at education, we can provide them skill development. We can give them different kinds of other works. Then we can empower them. Then also, as I told you, the village infrastructure can be improved. Drinking, sanitation, animal care, energy is something which is very, very, very buzzing at this point of time. I think you should have a separate session with Gauri Shankar on this, because he has a phenomenal story on energy. He can explain you the kind of solar energy which we're trying to capture to ensure that the power comes to every village. So you have to definitely listen to his story sometime later. And then the most important part is, after doing all these things, village as such also has its own challenges. We have this alcoholism issues everywhere, community living challenges are there. So we'll have to bring in people who inspire them to identify and tell them that these are your weaknesses and you should not get into such kind of problems. And then later on, eventually focus on getting this ideal village concept, which is nothing but enabling rural uplift and transformation, which is what has been introduced as the topic for today. So if somebody says that, this is what enabling rural uplift and transformation is, please understand, all the students, it definitely cannot happen in a year's time or in a 5 years time or 10 years time. It takes a long time. But once it happens, once one village does it, the transition to the next village will happen in a year's time. So you can listen and you can always keep this point. The first step is always challenging, but once you do it, the concept of comparison starts coming in. The neighboring village will look at it and they will learn how did this village become self-sufficient. By learning, they will also start replicating. And eventually we would like to see how we can make it as a model for all the 650,000 villages in India, and just not in India. We are trying to see how we can explore doing it in other states, other countries as well. So this is my last slide. And I'm very happy that I got an opportunity. But before I kind of conclude, somebody might question this session. Okay, what is it for me in this? What is that I would get by being a part of it? So one slide, we encourage young aspirants to join us in this mission. Very clear. You can start a similar activity at your place, and we can support. We definitely can support. You can also become an intern and work for large-scale projects with us. You can create documentaries, videos. You are good at social media. You want to convey a message. You can go ahead and do it. You can take Annapurna Trust platform. You can even work on proposals, grant writing. This is very interesting for people who are trying to look for careers. I'm not there on. Do a Google and see. I mean, if you have to talk on a commercial front, from a commercial side of it, proposal writers, grant writers are paid very heavily. I don't want to stress on this point about paid very heavily and again going to your things of getting more and more money. That's not my intent. My intent, again, as I told, there's always a purpose to our life, and we have to ensure that and be happy to whatever we have, and also support the other people. So when I am telling a proposal or a grant writing, it will give you exposure for what kind of proposals can I write, how do I write it, and that's what we are open to. And you can also, even whatever session I had with you, somebody is recording this session, you can just spread this message to others. You can inspire others to join the good work and also make this as a case study. I mean, this is just not one case study. There are many case studies with many other NGOs. Very inspiring case studies are there. I mean, this is also one of them. As I told, no idea is big or small. We are open to advices. Anybody wants to give an advice, any suggestion, even a feedback about this whole program which we had, we are always welcome with a positive note. So with this, I will conclude my session. If somebody wants to know more about Annapurna Trust, I will leave the website details. And somebody also wants to know if this is something possible. Yes, it is possible. And somebody wants to kind of redefine themselves to the corporate companies. On the slide you see, these are all the 20 or 30% of the corporate companies which are listed over here, because these names are famous in the industry. Oracle, Aditya Birla, Fanuc, Zoho, all the Samsung, Kellogg's, all these are big names. So these people have already joined hands with us. So we get a big exposure to all these kind of companies, and it's truly a living story for us. We are able to do all these things in the last 5 years' time. So this is the a story of Annapurna Trust, and I am very happy to see if I can address any of the questions anybody has. I think I have not crossed the time. It's 4:40, 4:49, so I think we can take it for questions. Over to you, Gauri.
Thanks, Anand. Thanks, Anand, for it was very inspiring. Rahul?
Yeah, yes, sir. So if there are any questions, you can probably unmute your mic and ask, or else you can also write in your chat box. We'll try to read it out for you, and we'll get the answers from Anand. Please feel free to write your questions or probably unmute your mic and talk.
Anand, can you just elaborate a little about the collaboration with Nagarjuna School of Engineering?
Sure. Does any state governments also help you? So there's a question from Vaibhav Gauri about state governments also. Yeah, as I told you in one of the slides, that government itself is the front runner for this program. We are just an implementing partners over there. So when they project Annapurna, they project first as a program which is being driven by government, and then we become the the organization to support their program. So we actually augment whatever the government does. As I told, if the government is giving milk, we provide the health mix from our end. If the government is interested in telling that we want breakfast, so they give rice and oil, and we actually give the other portions which are required for breakfast. So likewise, we work in sync. And just to answer to Gauri's question about the IRDP program, as I mentioned, that this program is a one-year program. It's split into two semesters. First semester will be about 3 years of theory, and then you have about 48 hours of practical learning. We invite students to go to the. We don't need to come over here all the way here. In Warangal itself, we can connect you to some of our volunteers as well, and supporting partners who work for us. And you can just go and visit those villages. All you need to do is just go and visit them. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. And automatically, what is the purpose of why I came over here, that everything falls in place. So your availability is more important. So this, with the IRDP program, which we are doing with the 600 students, we actually send them to various villages, and they go and they talk to the village communities. There's a simple questionnaire, because sometimes you should also be a bit prepared. So the simple questionnaire, just in case if they want to ask questions, they give a questionnaire to them, and then based on the questionnaire, they make a kind of a presentation for every village. What was their experience, and what they felt was lacking. I mean, there are many things the villages are lacking on all sides: sanitation, food, nutrition, everything. But you can actually highlight which is the one which is very important at that point of time. And then what happens, that is not the end over there. You're not supposed to just go take that survey and come back. You can come back and report to Annapurna Trust and say, look, sir, I have identified this village as a water problem. So solution is provided by the trust. Okay, if you have a water problem, why don't you just identify some water vendors, tell us what is the bill of material, what is the cost of it. We will try to purchase them and we will set it up. Now, when you're setting it up, all we need is you to front end the entire program, document it, and make it as a project. So you see, what kind of advantages you're getting. Here is a financial support coming from somebody like us, asking you to go and do the project, and we are here to support. And it's like, your father and mother, they're paying all the fees to the college and you're studying, right? So you're definitely getting benefited, and you need to show definitely the gratitude back to them. Same is the case. If you want to do a project with us, we are very much there to help you. Does that answer, Gauri, or you want me to elaborate much more?
That's good. Rahul, any other question?
Guys, any further questions that you want to probably ask Anand for now? You can unmute and ask too. No problem.
Yeah. I'm fine.
Yeah. While there are questions that come up, I think one question from my side. In fact, just to make sure this question will give an enlightening answer. The first important aspect is you wanted to start off this, but the start would definitely be difficult. So maybe gathering like-minded people and taking off the offenses that people talk about us and all that stuff is very, very challenging. That's why you see the first 1 year's number, you were very silent and probably reaching it to 1500 or so. So any one or two experiences that you think would help us become more strengthened to become leaders while we start up?
See, first of all, what we need to have is a servant leadership. Okay, there are various ways of identifying yourself as a leader, or you're working for an organization, and your thoughts and all are perfectly fine. First of all, you should have a servant leadership. So what does a servant leadership mean? You look at your own maid at your home. Whatever the owner says, the maid does it, right? Whatever you say, clean this place, she will clean it. So without anything in your mind, I'm sure you would be an MBA graduate, you could be an engineering graduate, doesn't matter. First and foremost, when you go and approach anybody, it doesn't need to be a government official. Even in your own case, when you're trying to get into a corporate world, the first and foremost thing which you need to have is servant leadership. What does it mean? You don't need, when I say you need to be servant, you should be humble. The first and foremost is be humble. We should not immediately get, just to tell in corporate world, who is this guy coming and, giving a bhashan to me? I know what I need to do. That should not be there. That should completely come out from your head. Whatever you studied, when you're joining a corporate company, you will have to go through this. And people have gone through it. I have also gone through it. I've gone through it and I've understood. All this can actually help us to strengthen ourselves within. So to answer your question, when somebody told that initially it did not start, we did not lose our hope. Servant leadership. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Let me go and talk to Village Panchayat. Village Panchayat also, very honestly, we went and spoke to him. He liked the way we spoke to him. You're not going as an owner and you're not going as a rich man coming and telling, I would like to feed these children. No. Then definitely saying, we don't need any of your food to be provided. I am going with this concept of something good to be done to your village. Can you give me an opportunity? Now they gave an opportunity. And because of that opportunity which they gave, one village, one school, then from there 10 schools, 100 schools. Today, how many? About close to 5,000 schools. So that should always be there. Now, to answer the second question which you said, you got to have the teams in place to get to doing something over here. I agree to it. Definitely, it is not something, it's an easy thing. But today, if you ask me, you can even start right now. Now, you might ask me how I can start right now. Now, after this call, all you have to do is just take a notebook and note down who are the people who are near to my home, who are definitely poor, and can I take one biscuit packet or can I take some set of food grains and give it to them? Now you do it, you plan it, give it to them, look at the reaction. You don't need to do anything. Look at the reaction. Your heart will melt. Your heart will melt. Forget about what they feel. So I am saying, if you have the thoughts to do something good, do it right now. And it need not be a long or big thing. Simple thing like what I've told you now. If you find there's a really, or tomorrow some of the houses, the maid comes, before she comes, you give a surprise to her. My son wants to give this to you. He felt, you're doing a very nice work for us. You're supporting our entire house chores. Here is a small gift. I mean, a simple sari, if you give it to a housemaid, look at the difference you're making for them. So I am telling you, start from there. I mean, let's not look at a macro kind of a thing, look at the micro part of it. I mean, I'm asking a question to myself. After doing all this for about 450,000 or 5 lakh children, what has been the transformation in me? If it has not transformed me, if it has not made me more humble, or if it has made me arrogant, this is also another problem. Somebody comes and tells Anand, especially somebody like a very close friend of like Gauri Shankar, he tells me, Anand, you've done a fantastic job. I'm very happy. Your ego starts rising. Automatically, ego comes up. Oh, why? Fantastic. Yeah, my friend has come and told me. I know, leave aside all that. So that also needs to be controlled. We should have equal kind of conditioning of our mind, be it a praise or be it a blame. Or we should say, okay, fine, this is perfectly fine. Thank you very much, Gauri Shankar, but I will ensure that I will do much more to get much more support as needed. So in a nutshell, if you want to do something good, you don't need to think about getting people to do it. You can start in a small way. Then you can also ask others to join. Be an example before asking others to join hands.
Thank you.
I have some of my friends who have joined over here. They're all witnesses to all that. 2012 when we started and they joined hands. So there are many such success stories we have.
Thank you, sir. So there is one more question on the chat box. I don't know if it's a question or a comment. Should I read it for you?
I'm reading. Yeah. We provide 1 GB and 7.48 rupee of talk time for free to 796 students across Indian rural students community after survey. My organization states this was the problem. So what is this problem? The problem is about communication, right? Is that what it says? Sir, I'm founder of the student organization, and next mission is to provide free education services to the rural part. And we need your, definitely, this is what I'm saying. You need support, please reach. And open it to you. You need any support, need any financial assistance, please come. But I am saying the idea is not to address your requirement and that's it. No. It should not be like a one-time activity. There is always this concept. There's a buzzword happening in the corporate world called sustainability. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. There's a courses coming on sustainability. So it's not, you give this and you're done. What will be the impact? What are you trying to achieve out of it? So by supporting your cause, what is that you're trying to achieve? Is that being achieved? And then after achieving it, what is the next step which you can do? Because you should not stop over here. You're trying to do something for a village, which I understand, but it should not stop over there. Then you can go and ask, sir, do you want something like health screening to be done? Sir, do you want something like breakfast program you want me to introduce? I know somebody over there. Who will say no to all this kind of good things which you are doing? So you should do some things which are like investments right now. You do small investment, and definitely we can do that. Whatever needs to be done, we can do it for all these 796 students, no problem at all. But those 796 students also need to be told that there are ways of improving your careers. There are ways of guiding you in the right direction, and somebody has to counsel them also. I mean, I don't want to tell, all of you know it, that all of you young guys, how many of us really use internet for the right purpose? I mean, be honest to yourself. How many of us really use internet for the right purpose? Just one single YouTube and one click on one particular video, that's it. Your mind goes somewhere else. So this is from this standpoint I'm telling. It's just not facilitating the need, but are they using it? It is helping them, is what you need to look at, Prem Singh. I hope, but you can definitely connect us, Prem Singh. I will put my contact number over here. You can reach out to me, and we can do something in this case.
So if there are any further questions, maybe you can put them on the chat box. Otherwise, I think in the interest of time, I'll leave it to Divya from here on.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Lamlal sir, Professor, School of Management, NITW, to kindly share a few words about the session.
Very good afternoon. Good afternoon, Anandji. Good afternoon, Gauri. How are you?
Good.
It was nice. It was a great talk from Anand Kumar. It gave us a great impact, like what should be the responsibility of the citizen, how they should serve the nation. So not in the business acumen, but as well what is our responsibility towards society, and how great effort has been put by Annapurna Trust in bringing a lot of service to the society, as well as all the needy people, has really enlightened us and made us realize that how we should be responsible to the society and how we can really serve the nation. So your work was amazing, and there are no words to say how great effort you are putting in serving the needy people, and with a lot of motivation, and not only by your own way, you are also motivating people to join the run, and that was a great talk. And I'm sure our students have really learned how to be social, how to be responsible, how to be serviceable to the nation, and their responsibilities are ignited. On behalf of School of Management, NIT Warangal, and from art team, I really thank you very much for such a wonderful, sustainable, service-oriented talk. And I'm sure we will definitely take away your thoughts and ideas, and hopefully most of us will be interested to join. So I also thank Gauri for bringing such a great person to this evening, which was very fruitful. So that was a great thing. I thank you once again, sir. Anand sir, that was a great thing.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So over to Divya.
Thank you, sir. Now I request everyone to kindly turn on their videos if possible for a small photo session. Thank you. Now I request Vishnu Vamshi to give the vote of thanks.
I, on behalf of art team and School of Management, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our speaker, Mr. Anand Kadali sir, who blessed us with his presence and took out valuable time for his busy schedule. We would like to Sir, we liked your speech where you mentioned many things like rural development, each one educate one. The way you explained the topic was exemplary, and it really moved us. Thank you for inspiring us, sir. I also wish to express my gratitude to our HOD ma'am for providing encouragement and support. I extend my very, very big thanks to all the students, alumni of School of Management, and to all who have attended the session and made this webinar a grand success. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all.
So I think that is all we have for today, sir. Thank you so much for joining. We look forward to listen from you many more times and get this inspiration to keep moving ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
Rahul.
Rahul.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Rahul. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks,
the
Anand.
video. Thank
And
you.
thanks to all the
Thank you, Anand.
people
Thank
who
you,
joined.
Gauri.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.